Welcome back. Hour number 3. We're going to talk about smart meters, not this hour with Deborah Tavares. Deborah, are you there?
I am, Jeff. Thank you for having me on tonight.
Oh, sure. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Exactly.
All right, very good. The idea of smart meters in the news is something I've been watching for some time, and I'm sure most of you listening have noticed that there's not much in the news about smart meters all of a sudden. It seems like the mainstream media has been told to or has taken a decided disinterest in the subject. Have you noticed the same thing, Deborah?
Well, it's not a disinterest. It's a covert, sneaking attack upon us with the intention by the global elite for full-spectrum energy dominance.
Right.
A plan put in place years ago and now being rolled out deceptively, and we're being misinformed by our utility companies, and the cities will not talk about it. And up until arrests are made, that's the only way that it'll even get in the news. When I was arrested on 1/11/11 for presumably interfering with the police about the smart meters, it made news and went all over the nation, and that was there were several other arrests during that period of time as well. And that was the only time that anything was mentioned about smart meters. Our elected officials were absolutely not saying a word. We even went to Washington, D.C., and went to many of the offices throughout Washington, D.C., and no one would even talk about it, let alone the geoengineering, the overhead toxic dumps.
That's amazing. They wouldn't talk about it, so either they were afraid of talking about it, or they've been told not to, or both. But clearly, when something this obviously important is not talked about and ignored or swept under the carpet, you got some big problems. You mentioned full spectrum energy dominance by the global elite, of course, on the shoulders of Agenda 21. You're absolutely correct. This is a program that continues to be rolled out all over the country, and I'm wondering, in general terms, how goes the war to stop it?
Well, it is a war. It is a war upon the American people, and of course, we were told in the Silent Weapons Quiet War document that there was a war on the American people.
Are you talking about Bill Cooper's book?
Well, that's right, and we also have that document up on our website, www.stopthecrime.net. But yes, Bill Cooper does have that early on in his book, Behold a Pale Horse. But there is that document is only 41 pages. It tells everyone exactly what the Bilderberg's policy was in 1954. And that was a declaration of war against the American people. And they say that the silent weapon technology has involved operation research, and they say that the military management during World War II was well aware of all of this, and they talk about how social engineering was required, population reduction was required, and what we know about the grid is that we have a countdown in health in the United States because of the added artificial frequencies in our environment. And we know in 1991, before the grid really started to roll out, the U.S. EPA proposal to clarify microwaves and other electromagnetic fields as a Class B possible carcinogen was squashed by the White House, Jeff, and the EPA was stripped of all of its radiation labs, and the key EPA scientists were disciplined.
I think the most important aspect of this is what you alluded to earlier, and others have as well. This is a process that really began decades ago. They knew about this. They knew it was coming a long time ago. This is a cornerstone in the process of global domination. Real simple. Now, stopthecrime.net is the #1 site. We'll link that to Deborah's name here in a moment. The other site,
we have a number of sites that we're running, Jeff. We're running Refuse Smart Meters.
That's the one we have linked currently. Now, what I want to do is, there's a video on that page, and we'll talk more about that page in a minute, refusesmartmeters.com. I remember a while back asking who was putting out signs, stickers warnings to keep these meters from being installed, and it was this site, refusesmartmeters.com.
That's correct.
Here's a little clip from a video that tells the story. It's an excellent video, and for those of you new to the subject, by all means, I hope you can pass it around.
We are seeing one of the strangest global events of our lifetimes. Power companies in the USA, Canada, Europe, Japan, and who knows where else, who have no business other than to safely deliver utility services to us, have been enlisted by some global agenda to install radiation-emitting surveillance devices on our homes that they are calling smart meters. The reason that this is so strange is that even after we have told them that these devices are dangerous, harmful, unlawful, and invasive, they flatly ignore us and continue to attempt the installations as if we were speaking to a hole in the ground. We know now that our power companies were perfectly aware of the problems with these meters from the beginning, and they even developed and planned strategies to withhold information about the meters, to install the devices without our knowledge or consent, to lie to us about what the digital meters are and what they do, and refuse to provide verifiable answers to questions about those meters. They could not have sent a more clear signal that the meters are not in our interest. Our power companies have allowed themselves to become partisans and to become enemies of their customers' health, safety, and privacy in some strange and new program to collect data and possibly harm everyone who has a utility meter. The new digital meters are designed to do things utility meters don't need to do, and power companies refuse to explain why they are so determined to push this on us.
All right, what are some of those things, Deborah, that the meters actually do that they shouldn't be doing? Because, as he said, the utility companies are really around to do one thing, and that's to deliver water and power and gas to our homes as consumers. That's it.
Well, that's absolutely right. But, of course, that is not the case. The utility companies have all partnered with ICLEI, and people need to look that up, as well as most of our cities across the nation. It's very, very surreal. We're watching city by city being consumed by the United Nations, a.k.a. the Bilderbergs, and we're being collapsed into a new world order. And this is exactly part of that for full-spectrum energy dominance. And for those that are listening, go to our website, smartmetersmurder.com. Jeff, you asked me what they do. The frequencies harm us. They cause us illnesses. On our website, we have a printout of the functional impairments, not only from the dirty electricity and the electromagnetic field exposure from the radiation, that is printable by everyone. It's causing confusion and short-term memory loss and inability to focus, brain fog and sluggishness, difficulty concentrating, headaches, migraines, vision disruptions, eye problems, eye pain, cataracts, head or chest pressure, allergies, difficulty breathing. And also what is very horrifying as well is those of us that have mercury fillings in our teeth. That is also, with the frequencies,
there's some interaction with the mercury from some of the EMF coming out of these meters?
Absolutely, there is. And it is recommended that everyone have their mercury fillings removed as soon as possible. But chronic fatigue and exhaustion and mood disorders... So
do these frequencies break down the mercury and introduce it into the system? Usually it's a slow process.
Yes.
Is that what happens?
It does. Yes, it does.
Wow.
We have quite an article on our website about that, and people are encouraged to have their mercury fillings removed right away. But I can say, too, that we had a whistleblower down in the Southern California area that early on, this has been several years now, that we have been waging war against these meters. And we learned that there was a special, larger meter that we've called the Medusa meter. And it projects off of the buildings or the homes further than the regular smart meters. And it is a miniature cell phone tower. And the utility companies do not tell customers that they're putting that on their home.
Okay, so you've got 20 homes getting smart meters. What's the ratio of the Medusa meter to the normal smart meter, which is bad enough, of course? This I didn't know they had actually. Is it just a larger output, or is it a larger meter?
It projects off the wall, and it's a collection device that receives data.
Okay, all right.
And it has more radiation. It collects anywhere between 500 to 700 surrounding meters, and uses the customer's premises to serve as a relay station to transmit other neighbors' data along the mesh network to the data collection point.
Yeah, I knew there was a data center every so often in neighborhoods and so forth. I didn't know they called it a Medusa meter. That's very
it's a horrible collection device, and they choose customers that have been good paying customers that have a location where their electric meter is located.
And don't tell me they give them a discount on their services.
Oh, no, not at all. They don't tell them that this even exists.
I see. Wow, what a scene. Hold on, Deborah. We have to take a pause here. We'll come right back and pick up the story. That's smartmeterskill.com. We'll link that.
smartmetersmurder.com.
Smartmetersmurder.com. We'll put that up here in just the next couple minutes as well. All right, got to run. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Talking to Deborah Tavares about the war to try to stop the complete flattening of this country with electromagnetic radiation emitting and health reducing smart meters. The idea of the collection meter is extraordinary. It can pick up, you say, as many as 700 signals, collate them, put them together, and retransmit them at a higher output to an even bigger collection or data central location, which could be up on a pole, it could be a cell phone tower, it could be anything. Yes,
it can. And on top of that, we also have the added feature of the dirty electricity. And what we're talking about here, and Dr. Sam Millam is a scientist and a whistleblower, and he says that the industry cover-up of these toxic facts by the electric utility companies, the cell phone industry, public utility commissioners, state and health departments is all treasonous. And the FDA as well. And dirty electricity does not need a direct wire connection. It connects through the air, travels through the house wires in your home, and travels into the human body from the wiring that carries the power. So it's very, very important that people are not sleeping on box spring mattresses that have wire in them, because that radiates you while you sleep at night. Men should not be wearing the metal stays in their collars because that radiates all the glands around your neck. And women under wire bras, any wire at all, will pick up this frequency, including the appliances in your kitchens. Once you have the RFID chipped appliance packages, which is a requirement. And actually what they're doing now is they're going through Goodwill and other agencies and taking all the old appliances and just smashing them so that people will be forced to have appliances with the chips. And Jeff, this is everything that plugs in an outlet. We're talking about an electric toothbrush. Everything is going to have an RFID chip.
You said something I want to go back to, and I don't know how long ago I started talking, but 20 years ago, one of the first things I mentioned was the idea that we were beginning at that time to be bathed in cell phone radiation and radioactive emitters, radiation emitters, from many different sources, in the home, without the home. And the worst thing to do is to sleep on a bed that has a mattress and a box spring, and even the mattress with coils in it if the coils are metal. These coils act as antennas.
That's exactly right.
They pick it up and they re-radiate it. So I've got a pure latex bed and have for a long time because of this very thing. People don't understand, and any kind of metal around you will do the same thing. It's amazing. Here's an interesting little piece from smartmeterskill.com. Now, is this your site or is yours Smart Meters Murder?
No, that's someone else's. I have smartmetersmurder.com.
Okay, well, we're putting the murder one up, but I did find the sound of a smart meter, which is kind of creepy, and I thought I'd play that just for a few seconds here so people
we
can...
actually have that, too, on our site.
Oh, good. Okay.
Because Jerry, who you played originally talking about smart meters,
yeah.
when we took off a couple dozen smart meters in Southern California, he filmed it and made a piece out of it, and you can hear the clicking sound as well. But go ahead and play that so people understand.
Yeah, it's definitely on the weird side. Here we go. Okay, each one of those little electric burps is a transmission.
Yes, it's pulsed frequencies, and we have a device, too. You can see that up on our website.
Uh-huh.
I can tell you that they know what they are doing. This is not a mistake.
Sure
the
they
frequencies are planned. This is depopulation. I know this sounds absolutely crazy to some of your listeners, but on our website, refusesmartmeters.com, we have had posted up there for a couple of years now, through FOIA request, a Department of Army document, and it says electromagnetic fields influence biological systems and cause adverse effects on human health, cancer, reproduction, and everything. This is in the document. Increase of brain temperature causes disruption of working memory, resulting in disorientation. And they say every human is subject to the effects of this microwave heating, and the predictability is 100%. This is verbatim in this military document. And what is so astounding is that we now know that frequencies are going to be used instead of bullets. This is absolutely weaponized targeting of the population. They've strung up cell phone towers everywhere and antennas. Everyone should go to antennasearch.com, put in your address, and find out where these weapons are located near your homes in your neighborhoods. They're
really?
Going up.
Antennasearch.com. Very good. Okay.
Antennasearch.com.
Mm-hmm.
The antennas and cell towers are being deployed. This is a military term because this is a military action. Make no mistake about this. And I can tell you that people are becoming injured. People are finding that they're not able to think clearly. And we've been told years and years and years ago, many people warned us of what was going to occur. In fact, Kennedy said, there's a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child, and before he left his high and noble office, he intended to expose this plot. Well, he did. He gave many speeches talking about the monolithic, ruthless conspiracy and the covert means in which they were going to expand their sphere of influence and infiltrate instead of invade, and guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. And he told us it was going to conscript vast human and material resources, and that it was going to involve military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations, and it is. That is exactly what is happening to us in America right now. And we are being incarcerated with frequencies. When I drive from San Francisco down to Southern California on I-5, we see just dozens and dozens of cell towers. We take our meter that you just played to make that sound.
Yes.
And we'll have that in our car, Jeff, and it is making that noise continuously.
All the way down.
It is going to become, it is a wireless dog fence. It's part of UN Agenda 21, which will ultimately restrict travel because people will not feel well. They won't know why they're not feeling well, and they simply won't get in their car and drive. It is the intention to isolate us, to minimize our ability to travel, and we've been told, this is very interesting, and this is up on our site.
So they're going to take the whole herd immunity down so people don't feel good, and it'll diminish their activities in general.
Absolutely. They're jamming our immune systems right now. In fact, we posted on our site a couple of months ago on stopthecrime.net a NASA war document and their intentions to attack the continental United States. And they say, quote, on page 93, capture, torture Americans in living color on prime time. On page 50, they talk about the low effects of power and microwaves, based on the U.S. Army document that I was just telling you about. And they admit that there will be behavioral declines, seizures, and gross alteration to brain function.
Right. Well, this has to do with the Hertz frequencies that are going to be emitted. It's all science. It's not a guessing game, and your points are all well taken. Hold on, if you would, Deborah. We have to pause just for a couple of minutes. RefuseSmartMeters.com and SmartMeterMurders.com. Two key sites. Yeah, a lot of information there. Be right back. Okay, and we're back talking to Deborah Tavares about the insidious invasion of the smart meter culture, which is what they want. And her points are all valid. I've heard them all before. We've covered them on this program before. Nothing has come along to dispute them. It is hard for the average person to accept the fact that they have been targeted for degradation as a healthy living organism, but unfortunately, it's the truth, and this is nothing new. If you don't believe me, you don't believe Deborah, look at the GMO issue. Come on, the food is toxic, and when they start messing with the genes, the sky's the limit. Here's a little bit more from that video. We played a little bit of it the first part of the program. It's very good. You can find it at both of the websites we have linked under Deborah's name, and I hope you'll look at this and share it with your friends and family.
Most of us have become very dependent on our utilities, and our dependency is now being exploited by a global matrix called the smart grid, designed for massive collection and centralization of personal data. Because this smart grid program operates largely in secret, there are many theories emerging and being explored. This is not limited to just your power company or even your country. It's clearly coordinated internationally. United Nations Agenda 21 has become suspected as a key driver, because that agenda calls for global controls of population behaviors and collection of data at the local level, just as the digital meters are designed to do. Those United Nations programs have been directly funded by proponents of global governance and depopulation, such as Ted Turner, Bill Gates, George Soros, and other members of secret societies advocating depopulation, such as the Club of Rome. Again, this is currently largely rumor and speculation, and we certainly need more facts to fully understand the bizarre experiment of invading private homes all over the world with high-tech monitoring devices posing as utility meters.
What they're doing is not just invading the home, they're invading the human body, right down to the cellular level and beyond.
Yes, and in fact, the NASA War document on our site, stopthecrime.net, is absolutely breathtakingly horrifying in that what you just said exactly right now. They are transitioning humans. In fact, they say, this is just unbelievable, on page 66, increasingly critical are human limitations and downsides. Humans are too large, too heavy, too tender, slow physically and mentally. And humans require huge costs, and humans have rapidly decreasing to negative value. This document is all about robots, cyborgs, and replacing humans with robots and cyborgs.
Or turning humans into quasi-robots and cyborgs through many means. This is this document you're reading from, again, is available right now on your site. Give the address again.
Yes, it's www.stopthecrime.net. It's posted under our Source Documents tab. We have a number of source documents that will explain very quickly what is happening to us. We have the Iron Mountain Blueprint for Tyranny.
Oh, yeah, good. Yeah.
We have the documentary up there. We also had it transcribed, the actual documentary transcribed, so that people could download it if they wanted and highlight it as they actually watch the movie, because we're having trouble keeping the movie up. They keep pulling it down. We also have the Silent Weapons Quiet Wars document a must-read, only 41 pages. It will actually tell you exactly what the Bilderberg's policy was that they adopted in 1954, and they do call for war against the American people.
Okay, I'm on stopthecrime.net, Deborah. I'm at the tabs at the top. I want to just help everybody find the document you were reading from.
Click on the source document
Source docs.
tab.
That's the second line, second from the left. Okay, I want to go to this. It's the New World Order Plans Exposed by Insider.
Yes, well, that's a source document as well, and then you'll see.
But to the right is NASA, the future of war, NASA. I wonder why NASA. Why would they put NASA's label on that?
Well, I will tell you, Jeff, that that's not the only label when you actually get into the 114-page document. But at the very beginning, this was a PowerPoint delivered by Dennis Bushnell, the chief NASA scientist out of the Langley Research Center, in 2001, just a couple of months after 9/11, or actually before 9/11. And some of the other departments that are involved in this document is the U.S. Air Force, DARPA, CIA, the FBI, Southern Command, Atlantic Command, the Australian Department of Defense, and there are many others. But this document is a PowerPoint, and what it does is it clearly tells you what is going to be launched against the United States. And
all right, what page was that on again, please?
I'm sorry?
What page was that on again? That's the quote you read?
You'll see that we have, under the NASA war documents, we'll have these quotes that you can enlarge. It's on the back of our flyer that you will see. But on page 45, for example, they say beam weapons will be increasingly prevalent. And they talk about, listen to this one. On page 43 of the NASA document, microdust weaponry. It's micron-sized mechanized dust, which is distributed as an aerosol.
Right, smart
dust. Into the lungs.
Yeah.
And they say it mechanically bores into the lung tissue and executes various pathological missions.
Okay, see, this is what I've been saying also for many, many years. Forget the idea of these big chips being forcibly injected at people. They don't need that. The technology is way beyond that. It's inhalable, it's drinkable, and
that's right.
You're talking micron size, that's viral size, half micron to a micron. Most viruses fall in that size range.
Well, so, it's an interesting way to describe that size. If you cut a piece of hair, you can put 1,000 nanotechnologies on the end of that cut piece of hair. And something else, too, Jeff, we were told in 1995 that was the year where massive doses of electronic mind control programming and thought intrusion and brain biogenetic manipulations would commence in a large scale. We've been told. We just were kept busy by design with life and work and sports and elections that was all designed to distract us while this takeover was occurring.
And it's unfortunately very easy and becoming easier to distract the masses all the time now. There's information overload on the internet for those who are trying to figure things out. That's one way they handle the challenge to them of the internet. They just overdosed everything with disinformation, misinformation, lies, and then truth, too. They create their own opposition, false opposition, but they own it. They'd rather own both sides of the fence than not control. They want to control everything, so they do. All right, very good. This is all available, again, at stopthecrime.net. Look on the right for NASA, the Future of War. It's a PDF. Take a look at that. That was a very that first quote you read was on page 60-something. Do you remember which page?
Oh, page 66, when I was talking about increasingly critical or human limitations and downsides.
Very good. Okay, 66. Okay, hold on just a second, and we'll come right back with Deborah Tavares after this. Okay, we're back, and it is I want to underscore this, a formal NASA document, Future Strategic Issues, Future Warfare, circa 2025, and the document itself says the future is now. And
that's exactly right.
Page 66, I want to read these little high points again. Increasingly critical human limitations and downsides. Large, heavy, tender, slow, physically and mentally, requiring huge logistic trains. Humans have rapidly decreasing to negative value added. That's to the system. They're declaring us useless eaters and really extraneous material, and we should be removed. That's what this is saying.
That's exactly. And on page 4, Jeff, they say this presentation is based in all cases upon existing data trends analysis technologies, and they say no pixie dust. In other words, in 2001, all of the technologies discussed in this document were available then.
They were all deployable, yes, understood.
We can only imagine how they've advanced since then. And the rollout of the cell phone towers is absolutely unbelievable. Many, many people are being targeted. People are being made sick. They don't know why. They're having glandular problems, increased diseases, everything. This is not just a list from the frequencies of the smart meters. We are being bathed in frequencies pumped into the plasma from the chemtrails. We have ground wave currents. We have broadband over power lines. We have dirty electricity inside the wires of our homes. So here's what we're doing to combat.
Can you hold that thought, Deborah? Hold that thought. The Gwen Towers, that's another very important issue.
Yes,
They're still at work. The name of that antenna site, again, I need to get that.
It's antennasearch.com. And you key in your address, and then you can click, and you'll get a separate radius of 4 miles, a map that will come up and show you where the antennas are. And then you click on cell towers. It'll give separate radiuses for cell towers and antennas, and you'll know right where they are, and print off a hard copy.
Okay, very good. Please go ahead if you can remember where you were.
Yes. Well, I also wanted to say about education, because here's what's happening to our schools. Internationally, there is a curriculum that is internationally based by the banksters, and you will read in the Silent Weapons, Quiet Wars document that in order to continue to pull off this horrific algorithm, all based on computers and data collection, they absolutely must dumb us down. And they're doing that not only from what we discussed earlier with poisons and toxins in our air, water, food, etc. In the NASA document, I might point out that they say they will poison our clothes and our vitamins. But I wanted to say, also in the NASA document, they talk about how public and private colleges will close, everything will become web-based, and the aim for public education is not to spread enlightenment at all. They say simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to a safe level, to breed a standard citizenry, and to put down dissident and originality.
Yeah, they don't want, individual excellence. No one's to strive toward some kind of a goal. The idea is to strive toward being an accepted member of the hive.
That's exactly right, and to just put a lid on our higher consciousness. And that's what they've done by what they did with the autistic community. They've created, through environmental poisons and toxins, the autism. In fact, they talk about that in the NASA document.
Gates and his vaccine crap. Boy, he's an evil character, that guy.
He is, and so is Ted Turner. In fact, I spoke with Ted Turner a little over a year ago, and that's up on YouTube on Ted the Terrible Turner. And he, of course, is one of the foundations that's funding the Wildlands Project. And you can see the Wildlands Project map that we've got up on stopthecrime.net, and you will also see their goal. And at this moment, we're seeing the entire infrastructure in the United States crumbling. And the reason that it's crumbling, it's not going to need to take us to any of the parks or any of the outlying rural areas which they now call sprawl. So they simply are not repairing our roads. I know here in Northern California, where they have over 2,000 miles of roads that they're supposed to maintain, they came up with a budget to only continue to maintain about 160 miles of roads. And those are the roads that will take visitors to the wine country. And certainly all of us are driving on roads with potholes. We're averaging anywhere between $650 and $750 a year to maintain our vehicles because of broken windshields, et cetera, et cetera. This is happening all over the country. And what we're seeing is people are having to flee the cities where they have the electrosmog, all of the frequencies, and they're not able now, they're not going to soon be able to get out into the open areas, rural areas, because that's being all closed off to us. And we can see that on the human access denied on that Wildlands Project map. We can see the buffer zones. Now, this is the map that Michael Kaufman, Dr. Michael Kaufman did, but we reversed the colors on it and put some different verbiage on it. But it is his map, and it is on stopthecrime.net. But it is a mandated biodiversity treaty, and they are forcing the transformation and relocation of all Americans and cities to comply with environmental policies, which, of course, is all a fraud. And the Iron Mountain Report does a wonderful job at showing how they invented mass pollution. They would create mass pollution in order to come in with the fix, which is what we're seeing now through all of the green lies and the agendas that are imploding the economy of all of our cities all over the nation.
They're also pushing these new, and I mentioned this several times, these new 250 square foot, they call them residences. They're out, I guess, available in San Francisco now. All major cities will have them. This is part of Agenda 21. 250 square feet, they call it a studio. That's your living quarters. They're cramming people into the urbanized areas of this country.
Well, Jeff, that's
250 feet.
Yes, I know that. And as land developers, I've been watching this, and this is happening all over the world, actually, that they're just building these little cubbies for people to just call home. But because they're taking away private property, and they're wanting to condense us into more controlled environments, which again is, as you said, Agenda 21, which they've just renamed to Future Earth, because too many people were catching on and hearing Agenda 21.
They've done that. They stopped defining ICLEI. They're using ICLEI as a word now. So they've done. Interesting. Say that again. Okay, Agenda 21 is now called Future Earth.
Yes, it is. And ICLEI, of course, is sustainable development, but they still have the ICLEI.org website. I urge everyone that's listening to go to ICLEI.org and type in your city, or just go on to your city and type whatever your city may be, greenhouse gas. And then it'll pop up that your city has signed you on to international foreign policies, which is treasonous. They've subverted all of our constitutions in all of our states, which is why, just as what happened in Illinois happened to us, where police go in and escort the utility companies to deploy these smart meters on properties. And they did this to us. In fact, is
that how you were arrested?
No, I was arrested on 1/11/11, and we took off a couple dozen meters on 11/11/11. And what happened is the utility company wanted to speak with us, and they canceled that meeting. And what they did is they launched with police on different properties. Tenants were calling us up in tears because it looked like a SWAT team with police and utility personnel on our various properties.
Right.
And then what ended up happening,
they got nothing better to do, folks. Right?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, this is a military action. They are intending to deploy this grid, and that's why nobody's talking about it.
Right.
But I can also tell you, apart from the small square footaged homes that they're going to squeeze us into, there's also a dome project to enclose most major U.S. cities, and it's a shield that they're building, and they're building it right now in Northern California, and it's called the Walker Lake Dome Project in California. And
like a big Buckminster Fuller geodesic dome covering?
It is a big plastic dome, and they're going to be erecting this over a town of just under 20,000 residents in Lassen County. And I have that up on our website.
And the theory is that they can then what? Control and clean the air for everyone?
Well, no, actually, why they are saying that they're installing this is it's going to enclose most major U.S. cities, especially those prone to weather-related disasters such as tornadoes and hurricanes. And it's a clear protective dome, and it's believed to be capable to resist against a Category 5 hurricane. Well, you know, Jeff, what is so unbelievable with this whole renewable energy and transitioning us to wind and solar is, of course, that does not work. They're not reliable, and they control the weather. So once we're all hooked up to solar panels and wind turbines, they control the weather. So they'll control how those renewables function for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, this is crazy. The craziest part of it is how fast it's being done. They're just rolling it out.
Yeah.
It's not by any little incremental ratcheting. It's just full on now. So future Earth is a new buzzword for Agenda 21. All right.
It is.
Got it. Up to speed on that. Deborah, thanks so much. We'll talk again on this subject because it's a multifaceted one. It's clearly a threat. It is clearly the plan, and they do not have our best interests at heart at all. Thank you for all your hard work. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
All right, there you go. And we put some links under her name, so catch on to that. Well, future Earth, eh? Sounds kind of harmless, like sustainable. Well, think again. We'll be back tomorrow night. Talk to you then.